Wish devotee can raise your hand. We know that when we are in sadhu sanga, association of Vaishnava, we are very enthusiastic and the desire to stay engaged in our services is very prominent. But my question is how to stay engaged when we are absent of sadhu sanga, so physical sadhu sanga. Kanatimanandasa Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Our engagement can either be swarasiki, that means spontaneous and natural, or it is of the category of vaidhi, because of some vidhi, some rule. So a sadhu, their seva is not because of some rule. It's just spontaneous. Because priti is a vishesh gyan. It's just love is a state of consciousness. And they're just in that state. And so everything that they do is the anubhav. Their hearing, chanting, remembering, and serving is just a reaction to the love that they feel. So if someone is not on the platform of the spontaneous love, then they'll have to be guided by vidhi. So as long as one is guided by vidhi, then there's some dependence on the shastra and buddhi. The intelligence is dependent to think, why should I do this? I should do it because Shastra says this, or Guru has said that. And so, bhakti is dependent on sharanagati. That is the pran of bhakti. If obviously someone who is spontaneously engaged in bhakti is naturally surrendered. But if someone is not spontaneously engaged in bhakti, then they have to decide to be surrendered. So anukul yasya sankalpa pratikul yasya varjanam rakshishititi vishvaso goptitve varnam tata atmanikshepana karapanye sadvida shanagati. So then, if a person is not being carried along there and then by the presence of a sadhu, then from your heart, from the core of your heart, you have to make anukul yasya sankalpa. Sankalpa means a vow, a promise, a decision. What is favorable for bhakti, I must do it. Then you have to check all the vidhi. Is this favorable, this favorable, this favorable? And do it. Pratikul yasya vivarjanam. And the rejection of what is unfavorable is also of the nature of a sankalpa also. I promise that I will reject all the things which are unfavorable for bhakti. So if the devotion is not spontaneous, then in real time, at every moment, you have to be checking. Am I doing the favorable things and am I avoiding the unfavorable things? And for that, you need buddhi and some shastragya. And this is why it is said that Vaidhi Bhakti is based on the order of scripture. And when greed comes, the characteristic of greed is that the intelligence is no longer dependent on logic and scriptural guidance. Natra shastram nayuktim cha Tal lobat patilakshanam. The symptom of greed is that the intelligence is no longer dependent on what scriptures is saying and logic, or the logic and reason of the scripture. That doesn't mean that the person doesn't follow the scripture. He does follow the scripture, but his motivation is not dependent on that. So, how can we progress at that time when we're not in sadhu sanga? Then we'll have to be sharnagat, consciously surrendered at every moment. And so, all the angas of bhakti, if first one is surrenders and then engages in bhakti. And by the potency of those angas of bhakti, gradually some realization will come, some improvement will be there, some purification will take place. So in Vidhi Bhakti, first it's necessary pratamang tu gurum puja tatastaiva mamachanam. First of all, every day one should worship Guru, then Gauranga, and then Radha and Krishna. This is the Vidhi. That's why when we remember Gayatri mantras, there's a Guru mantra, and then Gaura, and then Radha and Krishna. If you do archan to the deities, first you have to do archan to Guru, and then to Gauranga, and then Radha Krishna. Like this. So if we do that, then if a person is surrendered, they can feel the Vastu Shakti, the inherent potency of Bhakti itself. It is only if we're in sadhu sanga, even if a person is not very surrendered, just the power of the sadhu sanga gives inspiration. But when we separate it from sadhu sanga, that's the test of our sharnagati. Because bhakti will only be effective if we're outside of sadhu sanga, if we're sharnagat first. But if we're not in sadhu sanga and we don't have sharnagati, then even whatever practice that we do, it will be feeble. It will not, because it has no pran, it has no life. Just like Prahlad Maharaj, he said, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Padasevanam, Achanam Varnanam Dasyam, Sakyam Atmanivedanam, Iti Pum Sarpita Vishnu, Bhaktischan Navalakshana, Kreti Bhagavatyada, Tanmanye Ditam Uttamam. He gives the 9 angas of bhakti, but then it says, a person who has offered himself fully to Guru and Krishna, he's sharnagat, and then engages in the aforementioned practices of bhakti. I consider that person to be the most learned person. They've understood the essence of all Shastra. So this is the thing. Sharnagati. Atyanta durlabha prema kori paridana shikaya sharanagati bakatera prana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to this world to give such a love that is extremely atyanta durlabha prema, extremely rare, and to teach Sharnagati, how to surrender. And that Sharnagati is Bhakatera Pran. It is the life and soul of the devotee. Without Sharnagati, he cannot live. So if someone is only a little bit surrendered, but they're in the sadhu sanga, then the pran of that sadhu will give inspiration from there. But if you come out of sadhu sanga and you're not surrendered, then you'll choke. You'll be asphyxiating. You cannot breathe. Because the pran, the breath of the bhakti is sharnagati. So, this is the thing. We have to consider at every moment that how am I surrendering according to the 6 angas of sharnagati. So, depending on the firmness of the faith, or the absence of the firmness of the faith, depending on the degree of anartha nivriti, how much the anarthas have gone, then if a person is not in sadhu sanga, then there will be a sliding scale. There will be degrees of how much they can survive. So if someone has lots of anarthas, then they'll tend to not be surrendered and become entangled when they're outside of sadhu sanga. But if someone's anarthas have mainly, they're being checked, they're under control, then that devotee can be surrendered and engage very enthusiastically. And they can make some progress. But again, they'll have to come back and have more association so their faith can be updated. And then again, so it's not that one has to be in the same room with the sadhu 24 hours a day. This is not the thing. But we have to associate regularly. Nitya karo sanga. Nitya karo sanga. In a regular way, one should associate. And when we're not directly in sadhu sanga, then we have to do the application. What we have learned in sadhu sanga, we have to go away and apply it. And that is really the test. Did we understand what we've learned? Did we really understand it? So we have to go away and apply it in the stage of application. Then the realization comes. And then we come back and learn something more, receive something more, and again apply it. So to be in anugatya means to be in association and then to also go and apply it. And then again come in association and then again go and apply it like this. So when we're in sadhu sanga, we're in anugatya. And when we're not directly in sadhu sanga, when we apply it, then we're in anugatya. If you leave the sadhu sanga, but you don't apply it, now you become swatantra, independent. So the bhakti is anugatyamaya. The anugatya is so important. So in Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna said, Nahi kalyana kaschit durgatam tat gacchati. Nahi kalyana krit kaschit durgatam tat gacchati. Means, hey Arjun, one who tries to become engaged in that which is kalyan, auspicious, then that person, he never gets a durgati, a bad result. He never goes to a lower or negative destination. So, na he, not he, certainly. Kalyana krit, one who does auspicious activities. Kaschit, any such person. Durgatim means a lower or bad destination. Tata gacchati, he does not go there. Tata here is an address of affection to Arjun. So, Param Pujapad Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, he translated this, his Bhav Anuvad. That means not the literal translation that we've just given, but the translation of the mood behind this statement of Krishna is this. Sincerity is invincible. If you are sincere, then you'll be successful. So, the living entity has his free will. He's free to desire. He's not free to execute. That will depend on other things. But at least desire, our abhilas, is with us. Our abhilas, what we desire, that is down to us. Just like Krishna spoke the whole Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. And in the end he said, Yatatchasi tata kuru. Means, now you do whatever you want. Yata ichchasi. Ichchasi means you want. Icha is with you. I have told you what to do, but the icha, the desire, whether you do it or not, that's with you. So yata ichchasi tata kuru. Kuru means do. You do what? You do what you want. So your desire is with you. That's the only thing that we have. And so the entire essence of all spiritual life just boils down to this one thing. That our desire is independent, or our desire is attuned with the desire of God. That's all. If you look at the definition of pure bhakti, what is it? Anyabhilasta shunyam. Don't have abhilas, desire, which is separate from the anukul, from what is favorable to Krishna. That's all it is. So this is the essence of spiritual life. The ground zero, the absolute basis is our desire and the direction it's going. Either we are vimukh, our desire is vimukh, is averse to Krishna, indifferent to Krishna, turned away from Krishna, or anmukh. So vimukh means to go in Maya, and unmukh, that is bhakti. There are different types of bhakti, hearing, chanting, remembering, and so on. But they all are the embodiments of one undivided principle, unmukhata. Hearing about Krishna means centering our consciousness and attention and desires on Krishna. Chanting is another way of centering our consciousness on Krishna. Remembering means centering our consciousness on Krishna. So every anga of bhakti is united by this one principle. The conscious, intentional, the volitional turning of our awareness to Krishna. With the abhilas, spriha. Spriya means desire, abhilas means desire. That's why when we're discussing priti, what is it? It is Vishai. Vishai is Krishna. Vishai, anukul atmakas, tad anukulya anugata tatspriha. There is the feeling of the favorableness to Krishna, which gives rise to the desire, which gives rise to the anubhav, which gives rise to the ulas, the joy. Priyata. Jiva Goswami's precise definition is so profound. So our consciousness, our basic awareness has directionality. So if the basic state of our consciousness is favorable to Krishna, its direction will be to desire to be with Krishna and serve Krishna. So how can we flourish, or at least survive, when we're not in sadhu sanga? That is our one responsibility. It's the only thing, our abhilas, our desire, our spriha. It's the only thing that we're responsible for. That we must desire to serve and please Krishna. And then we act. But whatever is the result of our action, whether it's a success or a failure, from the mature point of view, that's not our responsibility. That's Krishna's responsibility. Bhakti is successful whether it fails or it doesn't fail. Bhakti is always successful. Because the spriha, as long as the consciousness is turned to Krishna and desiring, it's already successful. The example is given in the Bhagavatam, that when Lord Vamandev bound up Bali Maharaj and he could not move in the snakes, then Bali Maharaj, he wanted to give pranam to the Supreme Lord, but he could not because he couldn't move. But the benefit of giving pranam to the Supreme Lord, he received the benefit of that, even though he couldn't do it, just because he desired to do it. So priyata, the love, is of the nature of the favorability and the desire. And that is the success. So just being sincere, all perfection will come. Yeah. Yes, raise a hand if someone else has a question. Yes, Brenda does.
Thank you, Srila Gurudev. My question is regarding Gopi Chandan. As far as I'm aware, there are different colors like whitish, cream color, like yellowish and blackish color, and they appear in different shapes, in like round or longish in different shops. And I'm wondering, I'm aware this is the foot dust of the gopis, but someone has to collect them at certain tirthas. So how is this being collected and then putting into a shape? This is the first part, and the second part, I have noticed that Bhatt Raj wears another type of Vaishnav Tilak. If you could also say a few words about that.
Okay, so first of all, our Gopi Chandan Tilak. We wear Gopi Chandan Tilak. Why? Because some people, they wear black Radhakund Tilak. Because Mahaprabhu went, he discovered Radhakund and he took some mud from there and he put it on. So, but we should know that is okay. That is, if someone wants to wear the Radhakund Tilak, it's okay. But we should know why we wear Gopi Chandan. That is that Gauranga Mahaprabhu in the Nitya Lila, as a Grihastha in Navadvip Dham, he never leaves Navadvip. He doesn't go to Radhakund. So he doesn't wear black Radhakund Tilak. This is the first. Sometimes some devotees are coming to hear the class in the morning with black Radhakund, but they're not here right now. So in the Nitya Lila, Mahaprabhu wears Gopi Chandan. Why? The Gopi Chandan is worn by the Madhvas. It was Madhvacharya who discovered the Dadimantan Gopal at the coast, just close to Udupi. Where did he discover him? In a big block of Gopi Chandan. This deity of Krishna was actually a deity of Krishna. Once Rukmini was in Dwarka and said to Krishna, "Oh, can you tell me about your childhood in Vrindavan?" And as soon as Krishna remembered Vrindavan, he was stunned and could not speak. So he told Vishwakarma to take a big Shalagram Shila and to carve his deity of Gopal in Vrindavan from a Shalagram Shila. So the Madhva Sampradaya is the only Sampradaya where they worship carved Shilas. I have also a carved Shila of Vyasadeva. So then Krishna, because he was in so much ecstasy, he could not speak. So then he gave that deity to Rukmini and said, just worship this deity. If you want to know what my Vrindavan Leela was like, you worship this deity and you can realize something. So when Dwarka went under the ocean, then that deity was lost. Then many years later, when one ship was coming to Udupi and it was about to be shipwrecked because of a very strong wind, then Madhvacharya came on the shore and with his cloth, he guided the ship into safety. And anyway, he's the incarnation of Vayu, the wind god, so he could save them. And then the captain said, I am so indebted to you. What can I give you? And Madhvacharya said, I'm a sannyasi, I don't need anything, but I need some tilak. Do you have any tilak? So the captain of the ship said, actually I have a big block of tilak. I used it for ballasts because the ship needs some weight. So he had just been to Dwarka and took a big block of clay from Dwarka and kept it in the boat. So Madhvacharya came and he touched that block of tilak and it broke open. And inside there was that Dadi Mantan Gopal from Dwarka. So Krishna, for more than 4,000 years, had been completely immersed in the foot dust of Brajagopis. Krishna was feeling separation from Brajagopis there in Dwarka. And so he completely covered himself for 4,000 years in foot dust of Brajagopis to survive. What bhav! So Madhvacharya wears Gopi Chandan Tilak from Dwarka. And so, strictly speaking, the balls of Tilak which we get here in Vrindavan, someone goes to Dwarka and they dig up there and then they get the soil and then they crush it, the mud, they crush it and they filter it. So sometimes if you just buy not the things which are in a box with it like that, if you just buy the balls, sometimes it's not filtered very well. So now and then you have a little stone or something. Sometimes they don't do it so meticulously. The quality control standards are not enforced very well. But there are varying degrees of quality in the marketplace when you buy those balls. So there's some person, and that's his business. They dig up the clay there in Dwarka, and then they mash it, and they make it, and they sell it, and they send it here and sell it. Okay, so someone's doing that. And so it's not uniform. Some may be a little bit more yellow, a little bit more whitish. Mainly if you get if you go to Udupi itself, the Gopi Chandan there is quite more white. But it may be that what's sold in the marketplace is well, look, it's expensive to go all the way to Dwarka and dig up the clay there. Let me just dig up some earth in Ghaziabad. It's only like a few miles away. It's not the right color. Let's throw in some yellow dye. And then some camphor or something, some chemicals to make it smell good. Put it in a nice box. We can sell it. We'll make more profit because we only have to bring it from Ghaziabad to Vrindavan. That's much more cheap than bring it all the way from Dwarka. So you cannot guarantee that something that you buy in a box or even in a bowl, unless you know the source, then you cannot guarantee where it's from. Anyone can say Gopi Chandan. It's like, especially here in India. You can buy tomatoes and brinjal, but the tomato is red, but this actually tomato is green and they sprayed it red. The brinjal that was painted purple. Literally, yeah, it's going on. So it's Kali Yuga. So actually, we haven't been for a couple of years, but previously we would go to Udupi every couple of years and buy our tilak from there directly. Because they have no motivation to cheat, because it's right there. It would be very expensive for them to bring it from Ghaziabad to Udupi. It's the cheapest to get the real thing. The Dwarka is there on the west coast of India. So now, the thing is that tilak is sometimes called sectarian markings. But this sectarian is not negative sectarian. It means sampradayic. Sampradayic, coming in a particular sampradaya. So even within the Gaudiyas, there are some specialities of the lines, like the line of Shamananda Pandit have a particular shape because of the tilak mark that was made by the Nupur of Shrimati Radharani. The line of Gopal Guru has a particular shape. So, because of the pastime of Gopal Guru Goswami, and that is the touch of the lotus feet of the Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Because Abhiram Thakur was going to give pranam to Gopal Guru when he was a boy. He said, "Oh, if someone is not bona fide, if Abhiram Thakur will give pranam, that person will die." And he was afraid and he jumped. He came to Mahaprabhu, "Please save me." And Mahaprabhu touched him with his lotus foot and made a tilak. So different lines have some story. And in some lines, when they make the tilak, they have a ritual where they add some strands of saffron. They get the chandan and they grind it. Or even they may get chandan itself, wood, chandan wood, and grind and then throw in a drop of saffron and mix it like that. And so it will produce, maybe the tilak was white with a little yellow tinge, but then it will become more yellow, or even a little orange as well. And you can see in the Radharaman temple, they have dupshesh. Those in the line of Radharaman, they have a black line in the middle. So this also shows we're in the line of Madhvacharya. Those who say we're not in the line of Madhvacharya, they don't know any history or anything. Because the dupshesh is the tradition from the Madhvacharya's temple of Dadimantan Gopal in Udupi. Because when the pujari offers the deeps, it's like a stick with a cotton. It's not like a small, like out. And when it's burnt, then it's black. And then on the side of the deity, there's one area. And when devotees do a parikrama around, then the pujari from the dupshesh, that means what's left over. The deepshesh, dupshesh, from the offering, then it is he touches it on the head of the devotee and it makes a black mark. Because it's the burnt ash of the offering. And so in this way, there are some specialities in the lines. The tilak that we have, the particular shape, like some persons, they don't have the tulsi shape, they just have like this. But our particular style of the tilak is coming from Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Yeah. So we can say like a Narottam Paribar, but because we are the Bhagavad Guru Parampara, we don't recognize there has to be exclusive Paribar. That means exclusive Panchratrik Diksha line. That's not necessary. It's not something that Mahaprabhu taught. It's not something that our Goswamis observed. So we accept Gaura Paribar. We're all in the one family of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But the differences in Tilak, they identify historically the Paribar or the Diksha Parampara in those who have just the unbroken Panchratrik Diksha Parampara, and they are not necessarily historically have fault trace of Parampara, which is by the connection of Bhagavad Guru Parampara. Because in Bhagavad Guru Parampara, like in our Parampara, if we look, different persons are from different Paribars. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is in the Janava Paribar. Vishnu Thakur is Narottam Paribar. Baladevi Debushan is actually Shamananda Paribar. Like this. So this is some aspects of the meaning of Tilak. There are many beautiful meanings. Especially we like that we make the Tilak and then you have to clean out the middle part. That means Anyabilash Tasham, take out all the Anyabilash. Shunyam. Anyabilash Tashunyam. That means remove everything that gets in the way of what? One side is Radha and one side is Krishna. And the Tulsi leaf means Brinda Devi. So parallel lines don't meet. But these parallel lines meet. Where? In the forest of Vrindavan. And therefore the Tilak represents the Abhilas, the desire that Radha and Krishna should meet together in Vrindavan, that is Manjari Bhav. And all Anyabhilas is Shunyam, removed. Gaur Premanande.